must a man walk down before they call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? How
Talking about another proposition, which I told you, carry out research with regard to that.
Blowing in the wind, the answer is
डॉकेट ऑर्डर है, कहता है ओके सर, 3 बार पहले भी बोला है तो ओके सर बोला है, आज मैं उसके पीछे पड़ता हूँ, आज देखते हैं, बिकॉज मेरे को वहाँ ईडी से भी बार बार कॉल आ रहा है इसका.
before it is washed to the sea. How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? How many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is
हम आम आदमी और इंडियन कंपनीज भी, हम क्यों घबराते हैं हमारे लीगल सिस्टम से, और क्यों हम अपना लॉयर को दोस्त नहीं समझ पाते हैं? जैसे हमारा डॉक्टर, वो हमारे घर पे आते हैं, या हमारा सीए जिसके साथ हम बड़े मुस्कुरा के उनका ऑफिस में मिलते हैं, ऐसे लॉयर के साथ नहीं है. एडवोकेट साहब, उनका छवि हमारा मन में ऐसे है, और ख़ास तौर पे जो सक्सेसफुल एडवोकेट्स हैं, जो बड़े लॉयर्स हैं, जिनको हम सेलिब्रिटी लॉयर्स कहते हैं, करूर से भरे हुए हैं. उन तक 5 मिनट बात करना भी बहुत मुश्किल है. ऐसे क्यों है, और क्या कमी है हमारे लीगल सिस्टम में? मिलिए मेरा खास दोस्त दिलजीत सिंह आलूवालिया, जो अपने को रोविंग लॉयर कहते हैं. मतलब आसान शब्द में दिलजीत उनमें से एक है जो कि पूरा देश में सारे हाई कोर्ट्स में प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, और सिर्फ इंडिया में नहीं, यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स का कई शहरों में जाके अपना केसेस रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं. दिलजीत, ये सवाल मेरा मन में बहुत समय से है कि लॉयर्स सेलिब्रिटी होते हैं. मैं टीवी में देखता हूँ जो टॉप लॉयर्स हैं, उनका पीछे पीछे 10-20 लोग चलते हैं. जब वो कोर्ट केसेस होते हैं, अपीयरेंसेस होते हैं, पूरा ट्रूप्स उनका पीछे होते हैं, उनका जूनियर्स का. और कहीं ना कहीं दे आर फिल्ड विथ सेल्फ प्राइड. शायद जजेस से भी मुझे लगता है कि लॉयर्स पावरफुल होता है सही मायने में.
मेरा तो थोड़ा सा काम करने का तरीका बिल्कुल डिफरेंट है. मैं अपने आप को 1 मैन आर्मी बोलता हूँ. मेरे पीछे कोई नहीं होता, मैं अपनी फाइलें खुद उठा के जाता हूँ. अब लैपटॉप पे आ गया और आईपैड पे आ गया, अपना आईपैड खुद उठा के जाता हूँ. हाँ, ये देखने को कई बारी मिलता है कि कई लॉयर्स जो हैं 15-15, 20-20,
खास तौर पे बॉम्बे में दिल्ली का लॉयर को अगर हम बॉम्बे से कंपेयर करें
जी,
तो क्या बॉम्बे में फ्लैम्बॉयंसी लॉयर्स के अंदर बहुत ज़्यादा है दिल्ली से?
जेनरिकली नहीं कह सकते हम लोग, बिकॉज ये इंडिविजुअल ट्रेड्स होते हैं, ये जेनरिक ट्रेड्स नहीं होते. बॉम्बे के बहुत प्रोफेशनल लॉयर्स हैं, दे आर वेरी वेरी गुड प्रोफेशनली, हार्ड वर्किंग. हालांकि मेरा एक आध इंसिडेंट वहाँ पर हुआ था.
सुनाइए ना वो किस्सा.
तो हम लोग क्रिमिनल कोर्ट के अंदर थे, तो वहाँ के एक
बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट
नहीं, लोअर कोर्ट में, क्रिमिनल कोर्ट्स में.
ओके.
सो वहाँ पर मैं बैठा हुआ था, मैं एक्यूज नंबर 2-3 को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा था, कोई और एक्यूज नंबर 1 को कर रहा था. तो जब वो कोर्ट के अंदर बैठे, मैं तो अकेला बैठा हुआ था अपनी फाइलें लेके चुपचाप. तो जैसे ही वो आए तो उनके साथ में अचानक 15-20 लोग जब कोर्ट के अंदर आए फाइलें लेके, और वो आके बैठे, तो मेरे को बड़ा अजीब सा लगा कि वो बार बार उनको पीछे से कोई कुछ बोल रहा था, और वो अपनी घड़ी को ऐसे देख के कर रहे थे.
जज को बोल रहे
जज को पॉइंट करके कि देखो मैं क्या करूं, जज साहब केस ही नहीं ले रहे और हमारे पास टाइम है नहीं। मेरे को थोड़ा सा ऑड लगा, बिकॉज अनलाइक मेरे जो कोलीग्स हैं, मैं दिन का सिर्फ एक केस लेता हूँ, मेरे को वो भी कई बार बहुत ज़्यादा भारी लगता है, और मैं कोर्ट के अंदर 9:30 बजे जाके पहुँच जाता हूँ। कई बारी कोर्ट की सफाई मैं अपनी आंखों के सामने देखता हूँ,
अच्छा।
सफाई होते हुए, और उसके बाद
और आप ऐसे क्यों करते हैं?
देखिए, एक हर कोर्ट के अंदर एक एनर्जी होती है। जब आप कोर्ट के अंदर जाते हैं आपको वो एनर्जी मिलती है। जैसे ही जज साहब आते हैं, आप जज साहब को देखते हैं, उनका आओ भाव स्वभाव क्या है उस दिन का, बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली इवन दो जजेस आर गॉड्स ऑन अर्थ, दे स्टिल आर ह्यूमन to the extent that they might be having a particular mood on a particular day. So you are trying to understand the mind of the judge, trying to understand the energy which is flowing from the court, for which I go early.
Did you mispronounce this sentence? Judges are God on earth. आप समझ रहे हैं आप क्या बोल रहे हैं?
मैं बिल्कुल।
Judges are God on earth.
Yes.
कोई God हो सकता है क्या?
हाँ, तो this is the difficulty of being a judge. Now it is very easy to criticize judges, but ultimately where do we have God? We have gods in temples, gurdwaras. We are just trying to find God. In my, I may be absolutely wrong, but I always take the judges to be representatives of God, and to the extent they are gods on earth. And when we say that the courts are nothing but temples of justice, how can you have a temple of justice without there being gods? So they are the ones who are the gods. And the difficulty of being a judge is that you are a human who is donning the hat of God on earth. You have your human fallacies like...
But Diljit, trust to me, all are humans, despite all our education, our rationality, balance of mind, maturity, evolution, we are still infested with the basic human traits. वो 5 रिपू कहते हैं ना. How does a judge overcome वो 5 रिपू को, कैसे वो काबू करते हैं अपने अंदर? इंसान है आखिर में.
That is why it is a penance. Being a judge is like becoming a hermit. Imagine a person, and who are the people who normally become judges? Now we've seen some very, very fine lawyers, outstanding lawyers with amazing practices become. I know of somebody in Chandigarh. I mean, I really respect that judge. He's been a judge. Well, I can't take names, but
you'd say good things about a person. Come on.
So, I mean, taking names is like cherry picking a judge. Most of the judges are good, but this man is somebody who commands my respect. He's a man who comes prepared after reading all the 100 cases that are there before him, better than the advocates. And he's the one who's trying to help out the advocates. Tall stature, a very nice practice he had on the civil side.
What percentage of judges do really read up cases or give enough time after work hour for the next day's hearings? What percentage, according to your long experience?
So I would say that as far as Supreme Court is concerned, Supreme Court is a totally different ball game. There the judges come prepared. They have a very robust system of legal researchers who prepare.
But a very small percentage of average Indian citizen really land up in Supreme Court. So our cases mostly are addressed at the district court, commercial court. So what percentage of judges at district and commercial court really read up?
Yeah, so as far as the district courts are concerned, I'm yet to come across very many judges who do that. The reason for that is that firstly, the volumes of cases are very large, 200, 250 cases in a single day. Who is a human being who can study 250 cases? And then too, in the lower courts, what happens is that even if you come prepared, the lawyer will come and ask for a date. There goes your preparation out of the window. As far as the high courts are concerned, predominantly I am seeing even in Telangana, extensively Bombay High Court, of course, and a few of them I have seen in Chandigarh who come prepared. Absolutely.
So in effect, what you're saying is, where the real action is, where citizens go, which is the district and the commercial courts, there is a problem. But as you go up the ladder, the high courts and Supreme Courts are far more organized in terms of time management or the judges being more informed. Is that what you're trying to say? The real problem is the sessions and...
Now you look at the district courts. District courts are functioning at 20% less than the capacity, right? Apart from that, the volume of cases is 200 cases in a single day. The culture of adjournments is very prevalent in the local courts and the district judiciary. Very prevalent. Because there are certain lawyers who might be picking up 50 cases in a day. He can't be everywhere, so he'll have juniors everywhere asking for dates. Judges are accommodating at times. A system has to come in that the judges put their foot down and say no adjournment. And I've seen many High Court judges do that. Very good judges who say, sorry, we will hear the matter.
What role does the law ministry have to play in this? What you're saying in effect is that the district courts have fewer judges, more cases, more adjournments, greater amount of delay, and there is no cure. Where is this cure going to come from? How is justice going to be delivered faster if this is the problem? What is your suggestion to the law ministry?
So as far as the law ministry is concerned, the first major thing is to fill up the vacancies, which are up to about 20% in the district judiciary. Why should there be vacancies? There is a line of aspirants who want to become judges. That is one.
So why are there vacancies?
No, that is a question which they have to address, because ultimately who's the one who's responsible?
Who is the one who is responsible?
As far as the states are concerned, it's the High Court along with the states. They have to fill up the vacancies.
But according to you, Diljit, this is a huge problem. According to you, who is responsible? Who do I address this question to? The law ministry or the state government or the collegium? मुझे अगर इस इंटरव्यू के बाद किसी के पास जाके पूछना है, मैं किसको पूछूं?
See, you have a very strong government in the center. If they resolve to do something, they will do it. It's only that perhaps it is not being accorded the importance that it deserves, because common man, when he goes to the courts, the amount of suffering that he has, it's like, putting a person in hell is like doing a case on him or him doing a case. It is only his children or grandchildren who are going to be getting justice. As far as the criminal law is concerned, is worse off. Now we have changes in the criminal laws and all that, whereby the government is trying to address all that. But coming back to this point, one is that the deficiencies have to go. That's the first point. The second thing is that you have to enhance the number of vacancies. India today has got the lowest judge to population ratio in the world. Why can't we make it 5 times? Then the question will come that even with the current ones, we have a deficiency of 20%. Then how is it that we are going to have it 5 times?
So essentially what you're saying that there are fewer judges because there's a lack of political will. Positions are not being filled because there's an absence of administrative will. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Can't be used for drinking also, right? So just carry out research.
Because they were not a party in the original role. Now in the review we couldn't have
No, that's true. You is raising the same issue that you don't have a local standard in spite of the ASGM. With regard to the new laws, the criminal laws, so essentially what I want is that which are the ones which have been incorporated now.
Evidence of that as per the application is to show that the injuries were simple. We know it's simple because the MLR says it's
See, when you say that the injuries are simple, there is one which is simple. As far as the other one is concerned, why do we have to comment on that?
because
And also have a look, there is some judgment which has come with it.
Coming back, Diljit, to the very interesting pointer that you go and sit in a court first thing in the morning when it's been cleaned. What is that insight that you get when you do that? How does that influence your argument of that day?
That when the judge comes, you are the first one to greet. My case might be at 3 o'clock, my case might be at 4 o'clock. I'll sit through the day in the court. Because when you are there in the court, it is a classroom. every single day you learn the law, you learn what to speak, and more important is what not to speak.
Do you also map the mind of the judge?
Of course.
But
So
judgments are based
there
on
is
logic.
So there is a very interesting take on this. Let me just tell you that. So when I was doing this case in Massachusetts, and American lawyers, they generally don't think like us. Normally I have noticed that they think black and white, whereas we are the ones who are thinking only in grey. So we won in the Superior Court and we went to the Appellate Court.
Which was this case?
So this was a case with regard to a family, a well-known family here, and some kind of a dispute with regard to shareholding and monies which the uncle had usurped from them. His father had basically entrusted his younger brother, and he kind of
Yeah.
hid the. So it was that. So when the matter went to the appellate court, so I requested the local law firm that please send me a note on the judgments which have been passed by all the 3 judges who were there in the panel. So they asked me why. I said because I want to basically understand what is their mind with regard to the law. And we won the attorney costs in that particular action, that is the appellate. The appellate court gave us the attorney costs, wherein the bills of the attorneys were also taken up for scrutiny. And one of the things which was pointed out by the other side was that the Indian counsel had requested his counterpart here to dig out the judgments which have been passed by this panel in order to basically profile the mind of the judges. So this was being attributed very negatively onto me, wherein the court actually commented that that is what should be done at the first instance. You should know our mind.
Very, very interesting. I think this applies more in the Indian scenario, where you said that there is a lot of subjectivity. Is that true? Because you were driving fear into my mind when you were saying that not all judges are objective. You were driving fear into my mind.
I don't say.
I am given to believe that cases are decided on the basis of existing laws, previous judgments, arguments, evidences. But you're saying that the judge is after all a human. His mind is fallible.
No. Can we run away from the fact that all judges are human beings? We can't run away. Human beings have their fallacies.
True.
Third thing is, a judgment is nothing but an opinion. You and I may look at the same glass of water as half filled and half empty. Judges are also entitled to their viewpoint. So at no stage am I saying that the judges are not objective. Well, every person does it as per his conscience. There might be a person who, in a factual situation, he says, no, this is what I feel is my opinion. How can you doubt that, or how can you fault that? You can challenge it, of course. But
is there...
And same is the case abroad. Even American judges, they are not coming from top, they are also human beings at the end of it.
So is there any accountability of a judge? Lawyers are accountable.
Yes. So judges are accountable.
IAS officers are.
Judges are also.
Judges are God on earth. आप समझ रहे हैं आप क्या बोल रहे हैं?
मैं बिल्कुल.
Judges are God on earth.
Yes.
कोई God हो सकता है क्या?
हाँ. तो this is the difficulty of being a judge. Now it is very easy to criticize judges, but ultimately where do we have God? We have gods in temples, gurdwaras. We are just trying to find God. It's in my mind that judges are a national asset. Look at the practice of those people. There are some people like Justice Rohinton Nariman. What kind of a practice he left? I can cite numerous examples. There's Justice Naga Prasanna, Justice Vikas Pail at Punjab and Haryana High Court. I mean, these guys had flourishing practices. They left all that to answer the call of duty. What is the answer?
Being a judge.
Being a judge. Because when you're called upon, you should not refuse.
But there is so little money in being a judge.
Yes, now
you know,
that is where.
Celebrity lawyers like you, how much do you charge, by the way?
No.
Come on. I mean, this is something you got to confess.
See,
how much do you charge?
The question here is not that. The question here is that we as a country, we keep talking about becoming a superpower financially, having one of the,
I understand all that, but my question was very pointed. Why would you, for instance, if you're charging 4 lakh for what, a case, an appearance, how much do you charge?
Well, maybe somewhere around there.
Okay. Why would you quit? Why would you forego that amount and become a judge? And what's your annual pay if you become a judge?
So which is where your question has the answer in itself. If a person was to do that, it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice, all in bold. All letters should be in bold. It's a sacrifice. So when our judges are doing that sacrifice, the least that we can do as a nation is to ensure that they have a decent standard of living. I'm not saying that they don't have it.
But they do get fancy houses and cars and drivers and free medical.
Where is the difficulty? Let me also give you an analogy. You have the Foreign Service, Indian Foreign Service. Does the common man know that when a person is posted as even a driver in an embassy abroad, right, he gets nearly $2,500 to $3,000 as salary? How? He gets education of 2 children in American schools or European schools. So the CTC to the government is much more than what a Supreme Court judge gets. Now, the logic there, because I had the fortune of speaking to some of my friends who are there in IFS, their logic was that don't compare yourself back in India. That what does a driver get in India when he's working for the government? We have to see it as compared to the people and the standard of living there. Now, what about the judges? The judges are presiding over matters where advocates are coming forward. There are, in the Supreme Court, let's say for example, there are 60 cases on a particular day. 60 into 2 is 120 lawyers are the leading counsels. They are charging anywhere between 5 to 15 lakh rupees per appearance. What are the judges getting at the end of it? I'm not saying judges are cribbing about it, but we as a nation should ensure that a Supreme Court judge should get a minimum of, say, 12 lakh rupees tax-free income a month. Give it to them. A High Court judge should get 11 lakh 50,000. Give that gap of only 50,000 between a Supreme Court.
What should be the number in the district and commercial court? That's where the action is.
That's where you give them. Their starting salary should be at least 2 lakhs, and it should go right up to 5.
Oh, how much is it now in district courts?
It is very less.
How much is it?
Maybe 1 lakh. And one more thing, if I may just add to this, how many judges are there? There are hardly 25,000 judges, and how many judges are there in the High Court? 1,100 are the vacancies. Today there are 800 High Court judges who are taking care of the load of 1,100 judges, 34 judges in the Supreme Court. We as a nation can't pay this much to our judges. sir, I'll tell you a couple of things for you to pick up and to be able to start your journey in the right earnest in the profession. I mean, you can buy whatever you want. How does that have any bearing with the issue which is there before the court?
So first ground can be 91 does not lie, there is.
I mean, you can't allow people to mislead the court the way they.
The committee itself was formed, which finds mention in the report itself. So therefore, our first contention before the court was that we are entitled to be heard at this point because it was at our behest that the.
Where do you stay in Hyderabad?
Jubilee Hills.
That's Jubilee Hills.
I think it suits all. Fewer judges, longer the pendency of cases.
Correct.
More money do the lawyers make because they keep charging on appearances, or if not on appearances, if the duration of the case is longer, they keep charging more.
Lawyers are a part of the system. Lawyers are playing a very, very important role. They are always regarded as the vanguards of the freedom movement. So over the years, the police has become very powerful. Police is accountable to nobody. I have seen in cases where the state government has given categorical directions and the police officers have disobeyed them. No action can be taken against them because this is all, it's a superboy club, the policemen. Now, in spite of the best of judgments which have come from the Supreme Court, they are not being implemented by the police officers. What can you do to them? Nothing at all. It has become more of a superboy club. You can't do anything against the police officers. You go to a police station when a citizen goes there, armed with the judgments of the Supreme Court that this is what the Supreme Court says with regard to the law, they just laugh it off. And I have seen, especially many years back in UP, when the SHO was told that, this is what the Supreme Court says with regard to mandatory registration of FIR, कहता Supreme Court कहता होगा जी. Now,
What's the cure?
Cure is not making even the current laws which have come. They have tried to bridge the gap by making it time bound. That a FIR has to be registered, let's say within 3 days.
They can't stop corruption in police department, can they? The new amendments of the criminal law perhaps tinkers with the system, brings in some checklists, tries to hasten up, but the corruption is deep-rooted, as you are saying. According to you, the corruption lies in the police department.
Yes.
Which is why people with money can afford lawyers.
People who have money can buy out the police directly. They don't want any kind of a broker in between. The other thing is that, I often laugh over it that it is, if you want to have transparency, it is better that every police station has some kind of a menu outside, a rate list. That if this has to be done, this is the price, this has to be done. Without money, nothing happens in the police stations. And if the police is corrupt, the evidence gathering is going to be done in a corrupt manner. That particular flawed charge sheet is going to come before a trial court judge. Now, where is if a flight has to take off from here to Kerala, it can't be pointed towards Srinagar, right?
If you have one advice to the law minister, and if he's listening, what is that as a Supreme Court lawyer, not just in India, but you're also fighting cases in the United States, and you've seen the scenario in both countries. What is that one advice you have for the law minister in terms of reorganizing the criminal justice system? Besides what has been done, last week was more at a legislative level. But you seem to suggest that the problem is more deep-rooted, where the Home Ministry has to be hand in glove with the Law Ministry to reorganize the policing system, to make the police in line with legal obligations, So what's that 5 suggestions that you have for the law minister?
So I would say that the very first one is to come out with some kind of a program to eradicate police corruption which is deep-rooted. It is like a cancer which is spread in the criminal justice system. There's a requirement of chemotherapy being given. Kindly have some kind of a legislation to ensure that the police becomes accountable. Once that is done, I think 50% of the problem in the criminal system is going to be eradicated. That is the first one, accountability. Second one is that somehow lately there has been a trend of too many people maligning the institution, whether it is the district judiciary, the High Court or the Supreme Court. There are people who are going all over the place, trying to suggest that they can influence the process, which I feel is incorrect, but they are the ones who are trying to mislead the people. There should be some law to basically ensure that such people who are listeners should be taken to book. Very stringent punishment should be given to them, because they are destroying the faith that the common man has in the judicial system of the country. I think the third one with regard to criminal jurisprudence is that please increase the number of judges. The ratio of the population to judge ratio should go up 5 times. What to talk of even 25% or 20% of the vacancies which are pending as on date, kindly increase it by 5 times. Another thing which I would like to request is that, let us say that in a high court, the number of judges who are required are 100. I know it is a very, very utopian dream as of today that we should have not 100, we should have 110 judges, 120 judges at one time. 20 judges should always be on training programs. Please send them to Harvard, please send them to Oxford. Kindly nurture up the judges. Our judges are not being nurtured. They become judges. The only thing which comes on the head are 100 files.
Diljit, very, very, very interesting. This bit that you said that judges should be sent abroad on a paid internship to understand how Western courts function. Tell me about your experience in the United States. There are at least 3 cities where you were practicing yourself. What's the look and feel? The difference in the look and feel between the courts there, here, and the lawyers. I mean, here I understand a good lawyer who is someone who says to his client, oh, you know, I don't have time today. You know, I've got 5 appearances in High Court, and you know, then I have to rush to the Supreme Court for one more appearance. How does it work abroad?
So, I'll just give you a very small example with regard to what I saw in Massachusetts the first time I went. It was a superior court there, which is equivalent to a trial court here. So, again, I was there in court well in advance. That was about half an hour before. And there was a old man who just walked in out of the chamber. He cleaned up the table. He put water in the glass. And you know, after some time, when the court started, they said, Honorable so-and-so, the court is in session. It was the same person who cleaned up his table, who put water in his glass, and he came and sat.
Who was the judge?
Who was the judge himself.
Amazing. What was his name?
Second
Do you remember?
Let's no names. That's one. Second thing is that when you are in a system like that, where the cause list of the judges is not more than 10 cases in a day. 10 cases. Right? We have a cause list of 200 and people making mention because it's a running cause list of 400 cases. 10 cases in a day. Even those 10 cases, it is so strictly regimented with regard to time. 5 minutes is all you get to argue. The moment you open your mouth, it's not that you get a free run. The judges start asking you questions.
Well, that's because perhaps all the court proceedings in the United States is recorded, digitized, and you don't have the scope as a lawyer to go back and say, oh, this wasn't what was said and
Correct.
I challenge this.
Correct.
India doesn't have that practice.
Yeah, so that is called a transcript system.
Why don't we have a transcript system in
I
India?
think it is the sheer volume. The volume which is there and the kind of the pressure that the judges are operating under. 100 cases, if you start maintaining a transcript system, you will require an entire paraphernalia to maintain the transcript. So somehow,
So we are, end of the day, coming back to the same ailment.
तो judges को बढ़ाना चाहिए हमें judges को 5 times करना चाहिए. अब जैसे हम लोग कह रहे हैं कि यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स की बात करें, अगर वहाँ पर ये ऐसा हो रहा है, क्यों हो रहा है? क्योंकि वहाँ पर 10 केसेस इसलिए हैं बिकॉज जजेस इतने सारे हैं उनके. एंड देन दे से दैट वेल, वहाँ पर ट्रायल मैनेजमेंट कॉन्फ्रेंस जब होती है तो उसमें वो कहते हैं कि नो माई दिस थिंग शेड्यूल इज टोटली ब्लॉक्ड एंड आई विल हैव टू गिव अ लॉन्ग डेट फॉर ट्रायल. एंड लॉन्ग डेट फॉर ट्रायल देयर मीन्स 6 months. 6 महीने के अंदर वो आपको 2 दिन दे देंगे. उस 2 दिनों के अंदर सारे के सारे आपके विटनेसेस जाएंगे कोर्ट के अंदर, सारा कोई फैसला हो जाएगा. So things are very fast there.
I am very fascinated by this aspect of celebrity lawyers where they say, I'm very busy. That's one word which makes them very important, very desirable to a client. How often do you say that? I have heard that you telling me that pretty often, Rajan, I am busy,
So I'm busy doing nothing. So that might be a thing. But see, again, it is a matter of personal preference. I kind of like the system which is there in America, where the lawyers have a couple of days, maximum 2 to 3 court appearances in a month. It is not that the entire month they are sitting idle.
But you have chosen that voluntarily for yourself. You could have handled more cases, made more money.
Yes.
You don't do that. You study up your cases. You perhaps deliver qualitatively more to your client. Am I right?
Yes.
But you're also losing out on revenue for yourself.
See, ultimately a person has to decide. I can't compromise on my quality. I compete with myself. If I feel that I could have done better and I have not been able to do that, I won't be able to sleep. Whatever little sleep I get in a day, that also won't come to me.
But does Indian corporates who hire you or your prospective clients, do they understand the difference between a lawyer who takes up a lot of cases and one who doesn't? He would still go to the guy who takes up a lot of cases because he's busy.
Well, see, you can't fault people for that. I have had, a lot of experiences wherein, this face value thing is such a...
That's a very fascinating thing.
Yeah.
You have a face value too in certain courts, I believe in Hyderabad, where you're fighting more cases, right?
No, see, what is face value? I would like to understand the definition of face value as a judge recognizing that a particular lawyer is honest, he's hardworking, and he has come prepared. He will assist me, he will not mislead me. And he has that kind of a respect. Now, when I talk about face value, I'm a first generation. I don't have any kind of a silver or a copper spoon in my mouth. The best of, I would say, respect that I've been able to garner in my practice is in alien high courts, where first time I have argued.
Diljit, I think you're being too humble and you're skirting the issue. Face value, quote unquote, means a soft power to influence justice. So lawyers build their face value through media interviews like this, through engaging PR agencies, brand management firms, to create a face value, or joining politics for that matter. To create a face value, which is a soft power, when he stands in the court, somewhere the court is under his awe. You have that in Hyderabad yourself.
No, see, I won't say that at all. I won't say that, at least about myself. I can only tell you this, that I have appeared before numerous high court judges, right from Kerala to other high courts. And I have seen, that is the thing which drives me to work hard and to be, absolutely prepared to the last letter as far as my cases are concerned, when you see that respect in the eyes of the judge. That is commanded. It can never be demanded. And
is the legal system as utopian? What you're saying? It's so utopian that my knowledge influenced the case.
I don't understand this word eminence. I am a person who is a big critique of face value. I am dead against it, right? This seems to be more of a culture in Delhi, that if there is a case which is being posted, who's the face value? You start looking for that. Sure. Rather than
and you pay more for that.
Rather than trying to see that what is your case. You don't even bother about the merits. There are times that the case is not even presented properly in court. Why? Because the face value has no time value.
True.
Right? But what I'm trying to say here is that it's not something which is uniform. I have seen, and I will tell you, since you have asked me this, there are certain courts which give positive energy. Whenever I go to Chandigarh, I sit in a particular courtroom, whatever be the thing, even if I sit for 5 minutes, it is my visit to the temple. I get positive energy from that court because I see that judge and I feel energized. I go to Karnataka, Bangalore, I go and sit in another person's court. In Hyderabad, I have another temple where I feel positively that here is a judge I respect, he commands my respect. He doesn't demand it, he commands it. And same is the case with judges. They start giving you that respect because of not your face value. Your face value is how hard you have worked. Are you trying to mislead the court? Are you trying to assist the court? Are you trying to, just trying to bulldoze the court? There are times that I am slightly passionate on the upper side. I tend to get a little aggressive, or it is construed as being aggressive. At least the friends on the other side always feel so. But it is not that. The judges recognize passion. Sitting there at the dais, they can see a lot many things that we standing cannot see. They get a bird's eye view of things.
तारीख पे तारीख। याद है सनी देओल का दामिनी मूवी से वो सीन? हकीकत में भी शायद कुछ बदला नहीं अभी भी। दिलजीत,
हाँ, ये it is right to some extent, but then it is not only the system which is to blame for this. Advocates also form a part of the system, and more often than not it is the officers of the court who are asking for time, and one side of a litigation will always try to delay. It is just that those people are winning because they are trying to delay to defeat the ends of justice. Here too, I think some kind of a role can be played by the High Court, because the High Courts are always supervising the functioning of the lower courts, the district courts. I think this is one thing which is a parameter which is being considered by the High Courts in the promotions and transfers of the judges.
yeah, but I think we do have a system in place lately
Yes.
where deliverance of justice have to happen within a time limit after the arguments are over.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But तब भी लेट हो रहे हैं। उसका क्या रेमेडी है? कैसे सिस्टम को ठीक किया जाए?
देखिए, इसमें there are a lot of factors which are there. Like we were just talking some time back with regard to bail, right? The bail is the rule and jail is an exception. However, it is not really true when it comes down to the district court. It's not that the judges there are not competent.
They are competent.
And the Honorable...
But system क्यों समय लगा रहा है?
So the Honorable Chief Justice Dr. Dhananjay Chandrachud has addressed this point. He says that we have to now ensure we handhold the hands of the district judiciary so that they can give justice to the common man. It should not be that bail is something which has to be given only by the High Court and Supreme Court. Now look at this kind of a system that we have. The lower judiciary, which is the foundation of the judicial dispensation, they are slightly apprehensive to give bail or favorable orders. कल को कहीं ये ना हो कि कोई शोकॉज नोटिस आ जाए, किसी ने कंप्लेंट कर दी, कोई मिस डूइंग की कोई कंप्लेंट हो गई, तो दे से कि व्हाई टेक अ चांस, pass it on to the High Court and Supreme Court. Now High Courts are inundated by certain things which they are not supposed to be doing. If bail is going to be granted by the lower court, where is the requirement of going up to the High Court and Supreme Court?
But Indian justice system is based on the norm that bail is the norm, jail is the exception.
Correct.
Now that has been reversed in the past 5 to 7 years. Where we are saying that, where we are witnessing that bail is not the norm, jail is the norm. Not just in high-profile cases, in a lot of other cases too. What is the system afraid of? Why is the system afraid of giving bail?
So, see, there is what you're saying is absolutely right. Bail as a rule is something which is not really followed in letter and spirit in the district judiciary, and one of the reasons is that they are slightly apprehensive as to how it is going to be viewed by the higher courts. Sadly, I mean, I can name a particular state, which is Uttar Pradesh, wherein there are certain judges who have given bail and they have only got a consequence of a show cause notice or some kind of a notice from the High Court as to how have you given it.
So the fear that has been generated among judges about giving bail is a fear that has been created within the legal system, which means the courts itself are discouraging giving bails.
No, I wouldn't say that harshly. It is not that. See, ultimately, even the High Court has some kind of a moral responsibility to ensure that the justice dispensation at the level of the district judiciary is free from any corruption, free from any undue influence. How are they going to monitor that? So there are checks and balances, wherein the checks and balances, the judges at the district judiciary feel it is much better to err on the plus side than on the other side.
Has it happened with you where your client has been denied bail without a reason, and where you thought that bail could have been given? Has it happened with you?
See, it is, if you ask an advocate this question,
he will always say,
any person, why only an advocate? I don't think that we are the right people to answer this. Why? Because if a judge has given it, it is not that he was biased against me. If the judge has given, it was his opinion. And the High Courts have given a particular thing. There are times that the matter travels to the High Court, one has to come to the Supreme Court. Doesn't mean that the High Court judges are negative.
How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps?
All right. So another good friend of yours, the gorgeous Monica Bedi. I've seen your pictures with her, all smiling. You won a case for her. What was it like? I mean, how is the person in real? Is she what we make her to be out?
No, she's not my See, it was again a very sad case wherein she was not aware of anything, the antecedents of the other person, and she just went in the flow, got into a whole lot of problem. She had a very promising career which all went for a toss. So there was initially the case at Hyderabad which I was not dealing with. Hyderabad also, allegation was that there was forgery of a passport which was used to go to Portugal. That was what the case was. Now there, I believe the Indian government got into some kind of a problem with the Portuguese courts, and they felt that the case may not fly. That is when they came out with another case. That there was another passport which was made in Bhopal, which is the one which I handle. And ultimately she was acquitted in the trial court and the appellate court. And then there were two revisions which were there against the order of acquittal of the appellate court. One of them was a suo motu cognizance taken by the High Court, and the other one was a filed by the state. That continued for years together. Years it was not coming up. Now because of the pendency of the criminal case, she was not able to get a passport. Now imagine an actress at the prime of her career, she without a passport was not able to take on so many assignments. And towards the end, the revision, both the revisions were dismissed by the High Court, and she got her passport back. And as far as the thing is concerned, again a very simple person. And
I'll come back to her, but this point is very interesting, which you said that a case stretched for 12 years. So we've repeatedly seen delayed justice leading to people being in jail for years together, or this case where she couldn't travel out, or properties being in dispute over years. Delayed justice is justice denied.
It is not like in America wherein arrests are far and few, very few arrests, expedited trials, 400 trials. Unfortunately, this is a very big grey area. There is, certain things have to be done. I think the entire system has to be beefed up. But as far as delay is concerned, more often than not, the delay is also at the end of the fraternity of advocates. Because see,
they are looking for extended dates.
Because like I said, there are two sides of a coin here. There is one side who knows that we are not going to win. The final judgment is going to be against. So they will try to delay for years together.
How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas?
I believe Azharuddin is your good friend.
Yeah, he's my friend.
Yeah. What is that you've done for Azhar?
He was a person who, my opinion about the entire allegations was that they were absolutely loose, fabricated allegations against him. He was actually exonerated of all the allegations.
Azharuddin engaged you for the betting case. The betting case for which he quit cricket.
Yes.
Right? Psychologically, What was his state of mind, and how difficult was it for lawyers like you? Because, national celebrity, what a stigma. It was just not another case. Captain of India being accused of betting. In these kind of cases, do you also have to be a father to a client, not just a lawyer-client relationship, where you have to be some kind of a mentor?
In fact, you had asked me some question even earlier. This was my answer even to that. When I take on a case, I step into the shoes of the client. Now, there is a school of thought which says that do not get too involved in the case. It's a case at the end of it. You're just doing a clinical operation. Do the thing, forget about it, whatever be the result. I don't take it like that. Whenever I take on a case, I take on a responsibility. I don't take on a case. Once I take on the responsibility, it is my duty to put in my best to ensure that the client gets the best legal representation that is possible in the country. Which is why one has to put in so much of effort, because if you just be at the surface of law, there is nothing you will get. You have to get to the bottom of that pit. Now, coming to Azhar's case. Now, it was a very, very, allegations can be made against anybody. Now, look at the ramifications of those allegations. He is such a celebrated person in Hyderabad. I happened to be in a marriage party with Azhar. And the waiters who were there, okay, sir, photo, हाँ, करेगा ना, सब ये खाओ बहुत अच्छा, अच्छा खाएगा ना. Such a humble guy. He is absolutely grounded on earth. छोटे छोटे लोगों के साथ में फोटो खिंचानी, किसी ने बोला कि ये बहुत अच्छा है, ये बहुत अच्छा है.
All that is fine, but that has nothing to do with somebody rightfully, wrongfully getting involved in a betting case.
So, who is it?
That's his nature.
No.
But how did you deal with that case?
So that's where I'm coming from, that those were absolutely bogus and fabricated allegations. It's very easy to make allegations against any person, right? He was unfortunate because people have not made it against Sachin Tendulkar. Why? Because he's an icon, he's a Bharat Ratna, so to say. As far as Azhar was very unfortunate, there was no substance whatsoever with regard to that. There was a spirited challenge which was there by the other side, but ultimately the courts gave him justice.
When you met him the first time, I'm sure he must have been very worked up. He resigned as the captain, he quit cricket, he was removed rather. How was that first meeting like when he engaged you for dealing with that case?
So he was a broken man and a person who had faith in God Almighty. He said, I have not done anything wrong, and he said, Inshallah, ये कोर्ट्स भी ऐसा ही, मतलब लास्ट में यही करेंगे. मैं बिल्कुल इनोसेंट हूँ.
How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man?
How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand?
How many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind.
Okay, you have two bright children, a daughter and a son, who have the advantage of having a celebrity father, lawyer as a father, right? With an office just 5 kilometers from the Supreme Court. They're beginning a law firm at the age of say 23, 26, with all those advantages. Aren't they better placed?
So if you were to ask my son this, he will give you a long sermon as to how he's been disadvantagedly placed.
How is it?
Because, see, I have a few norms with regard to excellence. I actually truly believe, and I like only those people who are driven towards excellence, not success. Never have I actually run after success. Never. I don't run after it even today.
My question was different. Diljit, imagine a guy, I know one, coming from a small town in, say, Haryana, can't speak English, and is very conscious about the fact that he can't speak English. Studied law from a small institute, doesn't have contacts, sets his fate into either Gurgaon or Delhi to become a lawyer. Doesn't have a chamber. Do you think he would ever be able to reach the Supreme Court? Aren't we producing a lot of lawyers who are, from the beginning of their career, at disadvantage with the language, with knowledge, and certainly not having the pedigree of a Delhi University or Allahabad University Law College? What do you think about these guys?
I think any person can become a good lawyer. Like I've said, that there are only 3 H's which are required. Pedigree is not an H. It doesn't start with an H. Honesty, hard work, humility. When a person starts off, let's say you're talking about Gurgaon, there are so many cases. I mean, even if, let's say, he gets a small case, he prepares hard, he argues. Now, who are the people who are there in the court? They are clients also. There are other people who are watching. They are the ones who start off giving small cases are going to be referred. Every great journey starts with a very small step.
Well said. So very well said. Okay.
No, I'm just telling you that
Let's compare that poor guy, Hindi speaking. Your children have studied abroad. They speak fine English. They look good, and they have the title of Ahluwalia and an office 5 kilometers away from Supreme Court, given by their father.
All right.
This is them.
Right.
That poor guy from Haryana who comes, can he ever dream of competing with your children?
Yes, he can. Because ultimately what happens is that given all the attributes that you have given, I didn't have those, right? I started off
absolutely
as an absolute person with...
You don't come from a law family.
Yeah. Now,
but that was another time.
No, even today. Now let us say, given all these attributes, a fancy office, you get a couple of walk-in clients or referral clients, right? After that, what happens? It's like a doctor with a very celebrated surname. The first patient comes, lies down on the bed for an operation. You botch up the operation.
No, but he has you. Both your children, your son and daughter has you to back up.
No, back up. I can't be backing up in court. They have to stand on their own legs.
True.
They have to persuade the judge. They have to ensure that they get the respect from the court. Because we always forget that the judge, who's a human being, he's watching everything. Only thing is that he can't talk. He can't really say, come on, stop it. You've been beating around the bush for half an hour and he's just listening like this. At times, they start signing. That means you lost the judge. So, coming on to the same point, the biggest advantage, even if you draw a comparison with Bollywood, somebody is an actor's son or actress's son, they get the first movie, right? What happens after that?
Is it a fair comparison?
Even here, okay, fine, you get the first case.
Would you really mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah. No, not at all. Yeah.
I hope your parental instinct wouldn't react. I see this lovely pictures of you traveling with your children. They're not children anymore, really, because they've grown up and they have a law firm. Traveling in a first class with someone who has all the knowledge in the world. And that guy from Haryana or an interior MP would die to work for you free of cost, and you'd still not take him as an apprentice. And your children are traveling with you, and he would take, that guy from small town would take 20 years to reach to that business class which comes to your children by default. So I like your smile. You're taking it in the right spirit. So coming to the legal context,
let me just answer this. This is exactly what I tell my children. Why I'm smiling is because you are echoing my words, which are basically falling in deaf ears. Because when you get something, you always take it for granted.
All right.
So when you have, I would be the last person they would want to learn anything from. They would like to run left and right, go to other people, work hard, and get their admiration.
Would you take a small time struggling Hindi speaking lawyer as your apprentice?
When we say Hindi speaking, this is a very big misnomer. I'm telling you, it's a very big misnomer. I have seen other high courts, whether it is Kerala, whether it is even Bombay for that matter, Telangana, right? There are times when the judges themselves start talking in Telugu or let's say Marathi or whatever, because they are wanting to make the guy comfortable. At the end of it, it is not the English which matters.
तो उस यंग इंसान को जो कि छोटे शहर से आ रहे, उसको वो आप जैसे लॉयर्स उनके लिए अनअप्रोचेबल है, और बहुत सारे लोग ये प्रोग्राम देखते होंगे जो चाहते हैं कि पहला 6 महीने आपके साथ बिना पैसे लिए हुए काम करें, मगर कैसे रीच आउट करेंगे?
must the cannonballs fly?
Diljit, how is a good friend from US, John?
Oh, he's good.
Yeah?
He's good.
You've been friends with him for a long time. The last time that I spoke to him, he said that American lawyers, the good ones, take not more than a handful, 2-3 appearances in a month. While in India, the more appearances for a lawyer, the more renowned or famous or more enabled is he. You know, if you don't have, if you're taking 2-3 appearances in a month, which means you don't have work. What is this? Why is this difference? What is this all about?
So, as far as the ethos there is concerned, they have few court appearances, but they prepare very hard for that. So when we talk about court appearances, it is like, and that to 2 or 3 are going to be basically appearances in a trial. So you can't have, you have to prepare 20-25 days for a trial. And then they do a lot of consultation work. They do a lot of, they give a lot of opinions here and there. So they are very, very busy and they make a lot of money. But at the same time, they go very few times in the court. And even if you say 2-3 times, that's like the month is very heavy with court appearances because I have got 3 court appearances.
So you follow that pattern yourself?
Well, not exactly 3, but maybe 1 a day.
Another major difference, John, if you're listening, these are nuances that I picked up out of your conversation with Diljit, that American companies, or rather in the West, not just in US, spend 5 to 6% of their turnover towards preventive legal consultancy, which means they do not want to go to the court, and that's why they engage people like you or John and do not incur the expenses which they would have otherwise done if they were litigations. It's just the opposite in India.
That's absolutely true.
Indian companies spend under 1% on preventive, while they would spend up to 10% if they have a case. How can you change the thought process, which is well ingrained in the psyche of the promoters of Indian companies?
So see, basically the psyche is that don't go to a lawyer till the time you are in absolutely deep problem.
Very true.
We haven't come to that level of maturity that if you hate the lawyer so much or the court system so much, please ensure that you don't land up there. And in order to ensure that you don't land up there, you have to take a number of steps. It's like, let me give you a small example. With one of the companies that I am a retainer with, we are dealing with major brands across US, whether it is Walmart and all the big brands. Now, initially, what I saw was that before I joined, it was just a few people who were drafting. They were just signing on the agreements with their eyes closed without realizing what it was. And most of the US companies have a huge in-house system. They have a lot of people who are on retainership and all that, who ensure that every right thing is put in the agreement.
Fair enough.
Because that agreement can be enforced.
I think CI, FICCI, ASSOCHAM, and all other Chamber of Commerce, if any one of them is watching this program, it's a lesson for all of you to make an interface happen between the industry and the legal community to increase the scope of preventive legal consultancy. Diljit, has it ever crossed your mind that you should take the help of Chamber of Commerces to interface with industry?
No.
All right, so there's something that you need to do there. How does the big corporates work? Do they also follow the American footstep? I'm not talking about the smaller Indian companies who do not want to spend on preventive legal consultancy. What about the big Indian companies?
So basically the mindset is pretty much the same. And what happens is that they have their in-house legal counsels and the in-house legal team which is vetting all the agreements. But the difficulty is that for a person who's an in-house and not a litigating lawyer, they cannot understand as to how this agreement is finally going to pan out in courts. What are the points which are going to be raised by the other side? Where is the gray area in the contract? I was giving you an example of this particular company that initially what they thought was that, well, we are not doing any hanky-panky, we don't require. And when I opened up, after becoming a retainer, I opened up the agreements, I was horrified to see that they were indemnifying the purchaser of the product that he was manufacturing. The herbal product, they are providing the herbal stuff.
And the same company landed up
that was a totally different thing. But the thing is that when you're selling a product, you don't indemnify for the product which that company is manufacturing.
Very true.
And that is what they were doing.
But that's common sense law.
Yeah, but at times what happens is that these big companies, they are very, very big bullies, you know. They want to push through. It's like when you want to go and take a loan, even in India, you will have, you know, all the terms and conditions which are going to be scribbled behind in the smallest possible font. And you sign that.
But you have an option.
Not take the loan.
Yeah.
That's the only option, yeah. But if you want a loan, you have to take it.
Diljit,
Same is the thing with regard to business. If you want business, you sign it.
Diljit, I'm pretty curious about the recent trend in politics where lawyers turned politicians are becoming increasingly powerful in New Delhi. You know, more than the traditional politicians, more than the grassroots politicians who actually fetch vote and come to Lok Sabha. The nominated lawyers come politicians are more powerful in legislative process, in governance, and I see it increasing. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I agree, and you know, it is my own thought process, my viewpoint. I think that any person who is a member of parliament and any person who is a member of a legislative assembly should cease practice, because there are certain contradictions. It's like when you are a member of the parliament, right? You have the power to interact with others, and you can even impeach a judge. You can at least start the proposal for impeachment of a judge.
Oh, but that's far-fetched because you need the party to agree to it.
Question is not that. Question is that whether you are there in the parliament. Why is it that, you know, we take that as a part-time kind of a thing? Once you are a politician, once you are a parliamentarian, you are a full-time parliamentarian.
No, but being a lawyer and a parliamentarian and a politician, parliamentary politician, and getting all the attention of the press is a huge, intoxicating, powerful role. I mean, given a chance, you would want it too.
I won't want
I'm sure you would.
No, I won't want it.
If a political party were to nominate you, would you say, no, I don't want to go to Rajya Sabha?
Even if I go to Rajya Sabha, I will not practice. All I'm trying to say is that don one hat. Become a politician for 5 years. Just let go of your practice for those 5 years.
Yeah, but then it's so difficult to come back.
No, it is not. If you look at Mr. Kapil Sibal, how long was he away from practice? When he came back, there was a line waiting for him. So it is not that that the moment you get into politics, don't need to sacrifice one for the other. But at least, you know, you have to devote your best into whatever you're doing.
मर्सिडीज का डीलरशिप को आप रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे थे, जहां बहुत सारे लोग एक समय पे कुछ समय गाड़ी चला के वापस आ रहे थे और ये कह रहे थे कि गाड़ी वापस ले लो, और डीलरशिप प्रेशर में आके गाड़ी ले रहे थे वापस। किसी भी ऑटोमोबाइल सेल्स में किसी भी मैन्युफैक्चरर के लिए ये पॉसिबल नहीं था। तो केस कहाँ था? क्यों आपको वो डीलरशिप हायर किए? क्योंकि आज अगर मैं हुंडई की एक गाड़ी लूँ और 8 महीना चला के मैं हुंडई को जाके बोलूँ हुंडई का डीलरशिप को भाई गाड़ी वापस ले लो, तुम्हारा ये फॉल्ट है, क्या वो डीलरशिप ले लेगा?
देखिए, ये जो बड़े ब्रांड्स होते हैं, ये ब्रांड की इमेज अपनी बनाने में इंटैक्ट रखने के अंदर बहुत चीज़ें करते हैं। अब आप सोचें कि अगर आप सोच लीजिए, चाहे आप मर्सिडीज़ की बात करें, अगर आप उनको जाके बोलते हैं कि भाई ये प्रॉब्लम हुई है, तो वो सबसे पहली लाइन लिखेंगे, वी आर डीपली अपोलोजेटिक फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग। नाउ कई लोग जो हैं कोर्ट के अंदर जाके बोलते हैं, देखिए जी ये ईमेल देखिए, इन्होंने अपोलोजाइज़ कर दिया। यानी कि अपोलोजाइज अब तब करते हो जब आपका फॉल्ट होता है।
बिल्कुल।
तो अब एक ये थॉट प्रोसेस जो होता है लग्जरी ब्रांड्स का, वो हर वक्त जो है आपके कस्टमर फ्रेंडली
कैसे मिसयूज किया गया।
तो वो जो मैंने देखा था वो ये था कि कोरोना टाइम्स के अंदर आपको मालूम है 10 साल से ऊपर जो है डीजल की गाड़ी चल नहीं सकती। अब ये जो मर्सिडीज़ की गाड़ियां हैं, BMW की, ऑडी की हैं, ये गाड़ियां जो हैं 5-5 लाख किलोमीटर चल सकती हैं बिना किसी प्रॉब्लम के। बट ये जो 10 साल की लिमिट आ गई उसमें कोरोना हो गया चालू। अब जिन लोगों ने नई गाड़ियां ली थी 2 साल आपकी गाड़ी खड़ी रही, राइट, 8 साल बचे। अब वो कहते हैं इतना पैसा हमने दे दिया, 8 साल के बाद में ये गाड़ी इस्तेमाल नहीं कर सकता, तो क्यों ना हम आर्म ट्विस्ट करके इस गाड़ी को वापस कर दें।
कैसे आप इसको संभाले? कैसे आप इसको संभाले? मतलब वो केस था क्या? कैसे आपने उसको?
ऐसे कई थे जब लोगों ने ये कोशिश करी थी आर्म ट्विस्ट करने की, ये कोशिश करी कि भाई आपके डिज़ाइन के अंदर फॉल्ट है या हमें मिसरिप्रेजेंट करा गया, आपने ये बोला कि ये तो गाड़ी ऐसी है लेकिन इसके अंदर तो ये निकल रहा है।
So what did you do?
So basically it was,
how did you defend the deal?
Yeah, so the best way of doing it is that when you get a legal notice, right, from any person, the customary way of doing it is that एक पेज का है, आप उसका एक पेज का जवाब बना के भेज दो, right? Then you allow the person to get to the second level of filing a case or a police complaint. Now, this is the standard practice which is adopted in the advocate fraternity. Now, my philosophy is a little different. If there is a reply to the legal notice, I will make such a strong reply to that, putting everything inside, that the person will shake, his hands will shake after that, because it is not leaving any chance. And if he wants to go to the court after that, he has to file that reply. More often than not, I have seen that when they go to the court, they don't file the reply. So that is suppression of a material document. Now come on to the police cases. Now when you try to make out a case, you are yourself making out a case for extortion. You bought a car from me. You have terms and conditions which you have signed. Car has been taken over by you. It has been driven by you, not driven by you. Now you tend to make a case of 420 against whom?
Behalf of the dealer with a giant like BMW, where the case was of dumping vehicles more than what they can sell, right? Year-end dumping. And this is a common practice. All manufacturers push their products, be FMCG, be automobile, trying to push sales with the dealership. So what was the case?
So the case was, yes, it is a reported judgment. So what we are discussing is in public domain, wherein this particular manufacturer of the cars was, let's say that security given by the dealer is 5 crores. 5 crores means about 7 cars can be sent to him as per the order. Towards the year end, to meet their sales targets, they would dump 25-30 cars on him. Now, if that person is not able to sell, he's the one who's supposed to pay the company money for the extra cars which have come.
So he has the option not to take those deliveries, not to place the order. No cars can be sent unless the orders are placed.
Well, that is exactly where the case lies. There was no order which was placed and the cars were dumped. There was no order which was placed. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions which naturally comes is that why did he accept it? all these dealerships are on a yearly basis. Now, the moment you start raising your ugly head to the company that we are not going to be taking it, I didn't place the order, they will terminate your dealership on something or the other. And most of the people have given their collaterals, land, property as collaterals, which is what, there was another case in Kerala also, wherein they prevailed because the FIR which was registered against BMW was quashed. But what happens is that they are not in a position to take on giants like this because of the agreements which have been entered, and for fear that.
But this is a pain area of the entire automobile industry. It's a high ticket industry where investment of dealership is very high, and dealers across all brands are struggling with extra inventories. This year, in the month of December, the same happened. Did the dealer association, automobile dealer association, ever approach you, or do you have a message for them?
No, see, as I have only seen it in this brand because I am dealing with other luxury brands. It is only this particular brand that there were numerous complaints, and not only here. So I've represented in two places, Hyderabad and Kerala. But there, I believe in Gujarat also there was something. So it seems to be a normal practice, wherein which is why I don't have a BMW car.
No comments on that. I'd love to have a BMW car. there's another growing trend wherein law firms are substituting individuals lawyers for a lot of work. So corporates are increasingly moving towards, and that's happened in the West as well over a long stretch of 30 years. So law firms are getting corporatized. They're hiring a corporate communication department. They're hiring a whole lot of junior and senior lawyers and partners, and they're getting organized as a company. And corporates prefer those entities because it's a one-stop solution. So do you see individual, capable, celebrity lawyers days being over?
No, absolutely not. See, it is like two lines of the railway track. They are parallel. When all these corporate entities, these law firms ultimately are engaging whom? They are not these so-called celebrated. I will not like to use the word celebrated. I'll say, okay, experienced lawyers may be experienced, but not celebrated. These experienced lawyers have to be engaged for matters. The law firms reach out to them and they engage them.
Yeah, but there is an entity which is replacing individuals. And that's a good trend.
That's a good trend. I mean, even in America, there are so many law firms. Everything is a law firm, LLP there. I don't see any harm in that. It is good. If the big corporate law firms are doing a lot of good work.
There is a difference. As an individual lawyer, you do not go out and fetch clients for yourself. But a law firm like the one that your son has opened, he has an infra, he has engaged other lawyers, he constantly needs business, so he has to go out and fetch business in a discreet manner. And that's what has happened in the United States, where another set of firms have come up who are typically corporate communication firms handling law firms. So do you see the dynamics of the legal business changing?
Of course, it is changing. Now, you very rightly said that many of the MNCs and all prefer all these very big corporate law firms. At times, what happens is that they don't have the core expertise in the matter which is under consideration. Then they engage external counsels. So I don't see any harm in that. It's just like a business entity. The corporate law firms are also that when it is a big organization, when it's a big car, it requires fuel, right? Any car requires fuel. Theirs is a big car, it requires more fuel. That's okay.
You've been a criminal lawyer all through, and you've dabbled with constitutional cases as well. There's one question that I have in mind, and I want an honest answer about the government's stand. What do you feel on the collegiate system? It's a sacred discussion which no one wants to do. And for the first time, this government has perhaps raised the question on collegiate system. Do you think it should be left the way it is, or changes are required?
See, you see any justice, honorable justice of the Supreme Court who retires, you ask him this question with regard to collegium, he will say, well, all is not okay, but this is the best we have got. So there can be so many things which can be incorporated in the collegium system to make it slightly more inclusive, right? Right now, I mean, I really like the idea of Justice Nariman, that why can't retired judges take care of the collegium system? Why is it got to be serving justices of the Supreme Court who have so much of workload and then getting into all this? It can be retired judges also.
The debate of the collegium system is really elsewhere. The debate is whether the government should have a say. Our government of the day should have a say in the selection of judges.
They already have a say. They have a major say. They have a say. Ultimately what happens is, it's not that the government is not recommending names. Those names are going to the collegium. There are certain names which are accepted. There are certain names which are not accepted. Then what happens behind the door, which everybody is talking about? I'm talking about the judges who are part of the collegium. Even Justice Kaul has recently talked about the collegium system.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So it is not that the government is not playing up, but to leave the choice of judges to the government of the day is a very dangerous thing.
Daljit, I was going through the list of cases that you handled in the past. One was a case, a very famous case of an eminent television channel, TV9, Ravi Prakash, the CEO. What was your takeaway from that case?
So what I really saw in this case was how the might of the state was being used against one individual. He might have been a very powerful media person, but at the end of it, he was an individual who was fighting for his liberty. And when the entire
So what was the case all about?
So the case
was it a hostile takeover case?
See, Ravi Prakash was one of the people who was instrumental in getting TV9 to where it was. He also had a equity into it. I think it was about 10%. Then there was a changeover of the ownership of the shares, and then perhaps the new owners had some differences with Ravi Prakash with regard to how the channel has to be run. That was the the foundation of the dispute between the two. And thereafter we saw the first FIR being registered by the police against him. And the entire state was like, there were 30 lawyers. We were talking about the number of lawyers. There were about 30-40 lawyers on the other side, media people, so many police people who were there on that side. And here it was me.
Don't you get intimidated?
Absolutely not.
I mean, it's natural to get intimidated.
No, I don't.
But you can't be a he-man.
No, it's not a question of being a he-man, because you have faith that there is a person who's sitting on top, who's performing the duty of God on earth. He'll protect you.
The judge.
Yes,
All
he'll
right.
protect you. He is not intimidated by all this.
Okay.
See, you can be impressed at media people when a person is walking with 20 people behind with a swag and all that. You will get very impressed. But the judge is not going to be getting very impressed. Judge is going to be looking at the person who is representing.
All right. So, how did it pan out?
So it was very tough initially. We got an adverse order, we came to Supreme Court, we got it remanded back, and then the matter was heard in extenso for 3 days. 3 days the matter was heard, and they had engaged a very prominent person from Supreme Court, and the state was paying for the fees for that person. Huge legal team was there, and here I was with one junior person on the other side. So basically it was heard for 3 days. There was an attempt to intimidate. There was even an attempt, by one of the people, heavyweight on the other side, because I said something like this, he said, "Don't show your finger," or something like that.
Which you said?
No, I was addressing the court. I was addressing like this. He said, "Don't use your hand like this." I said, "Please don't try to intimidate me." Right? You have, a lot many people behind. I have the court on my side. So this is how you try to get out of situation. But yes, they try to intimidate. There are times when, these heavyweights try to bulldoze you.
And what are the tactics?
See, tactics can be, it all depends upon the courts also. I'll give you an example. In Bangalore, I appeared before a judge, one of the best judges that I have appeared before. One in Chandigarh, like I talked about, and one in Bangalore. And the opposite side counsel was a person in practice for 50 years. And he was AG for nearly 20 years. So very, very good. One of the best, designated people that I have witnessed in court. And there was a little bit of an attempt, but the court was like, he was smiling. The judge was smiling, and he said something. He said, "Okay, continue." So, the judges play a very important role, and it all depends upon the judge. If the judge is meek, the judge is not holding your hand, then naturally you will get into.
And you have angry judges as well.
Human beings. Judges are not, they are, unfortunately or fortunately, they are out of the human being, and thank God for that.
And has it happened with you in your lifetime where you had an adversary lawyer who you're not in talking terms with, and it's very tense because, I can see you smiling, so I'd like you to recall one incident.
So I'll need to recall many incidents. Unfortunately, I don't know why it happens that I seem to be getting the wrong side of people. And there is a very good friend of mine, Gaurav Bhargav. He's a very good lawyer, and he tells me, "Sir, you should ensure that
the other side is not antagonized, and they normally get antagonized because of the level of preparation that you make.
Okay.
Because if you walk into the court with no preparation and you have the guy on the other side who's so well prepared, then you will tend to, be very finicky, very, very sensitive, trying to object to, very peripheral things. So it happens all the time.
So, any incident that you remember when you had a lawyer with whom for the entire case you weren't talking, and he was throwing hot looks at you?
So I just told you that it happens most of the times, and the only time it does not happen, then it's like, there are quite a few people. There is a person in Chandigarh, very, very nice lawyer, Abhilaksh Grover, and he was on the other side, but a thorough gentleman. And he's become my friend for life because he commands my respect. So either, see, as a lawyer also, you have to command respect. You cannot demand it.
Very good, very good, very good.
Diljit, is that you? I mean, you're looking half your age, dancing to the beat of Hindi songs. Where was that?
That was in Goa.
All right, so
I was just pulling the name of my son.
very rarely one can catch a glimpse of a lawyer of your stature dancing to Hindi music. You watch movies?
A little bit.
All right. And you party?
I don't really party. And if at all I have to go to a party, it is a form of a compulsion. And I'm there for very short times. So basically something or the other.
But parties are great places to pick up clients.
Yeah,
I mean, and a party of cricketer Azharuddin would fetch you half a dozen clients.
I'm not running after clients.
I mean, you make enough and you're happy?
Yes, I'm very happy.
Oh, so what's your
Whatever.
passion? Foreign holidays. That's what you...
No. I rarely go on holidays. I just go work-related trips. Recently I had gone to UK. That was also work-related. But you talked about the photographs and the videos and that. And even US, whenever I go, it is work-related.
The taxman knows that lawyers cutting across, even a small guy, makes a lot of money which he doesn't put on the book. Yet they don't send them notices. The taxman never sends a notice to a lawyer.
It's not true at all. I have been invited to the taxman several years, and I think they are very decent people. They're just doing their job. And but yes, I have got the invites from them.
A retired judge can't have a farmhouse. A lawyer without a farmhouse is not really arrived in life, is not made it big without a farmhouse. That's the difference between a poor judge and a lawyer. A judge having a farmhouse is troublesome, right? So, do you really think that you would rather be a lawyer than be a powerful judge?
See, the moment you say the word judge, every person knows whether he can be a judge or not. I'll give you a very small example. There is one game which is known as UFC, which is that, wrestling, boxing and all that, which happens in the United States. So my son is very fond of that and I also watch it. How I know I can't be a judge is that before I don't know either of the fighters. But the moment the fight starts, I am always biased in favor of one fighter. And when he loses,
very interesting observation.
When he loses, then I feel very bad. So I don't watch it. So if that be the kind of a mindset, I can never be a judge. I also talked about judges being gods on earth. Why I say that is that if I was to be a judge, I would constantly be fighting that I like that guy, but his case is not on his side. So they are also doing that. See, the human policies are that you might like a guy, you might like a particular cause, but then you are bound by the dictates of the law and justice.
must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must the white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they forever bend? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
A retired judge can't have a farmhouse. A lawyer without a farmhouse is not really arrived in life, is not made it big without a farmhouse. That's the difference between a poor judge and a lawyer. A judge having a farmhouse is troublesome, right? So, do you really think that you would rather be a lawyer than be a powerful judge?
See, the moment you say the word judge, every person knows whether he can be a judge or not. I'll give you a very small example. There is one game which is known as UFC, which is that, wrestling, boxing and all that, which happens in the United States. So my son is very fond of that and I also watch it. How I know I can't be a judge is that before, I don't know either of the fighters. But the moment the fight starts, I am always biased in favor of one fighter. And when he loses, then I feel very bad. So I don't watch it. So if that be the kind of a mindset, I can never be a judge. I also talked about judges being gods on earth. Why I say that is that if I was to be a judge, I would constantly be fighting that I like that guy, but his case is not on his side. So they are also doing that. See, the human policies are that you might like a guy, you might like a particular cause, but then you are bound by the dictates of the law and justice.
Very true. But who do you think between an eminent lawyer, a very eminent lawyer, and a Supreme Court judge, who actually wields the power? Who is more powerful in the real sense? The guy who gives judgment or the one who argues?
Without a doubt, the judges. I mean, I'm surprised that you are even drawing a comparison between the two. The lawyers are only there to assist the court. That's it.
I thought that it was just the opposite. The judge is bound by the argument that is given.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. This question of yours as to who's more powerful, whether it is the judges or whether it is the advocates, I think this particular thing can be answered straight away without even thinking. That it is the judges who hold the power. As advocates, we are nothing but officers of the court who have to assist the court in arriving at the correct decision. Both the sides are going to be giving their respective positions and ultimately it is the arbiter, the judge, who decides.